Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a lot. We have users in 156 countries right now. And we
Wow,
are we
that's
are
amazing.
we are pretty big in the United States, and Australia and Canada are our top three. And so it's really neat to, like, we work with a lot of teams in Australia, and so it's pretty cool where we do trainings and we're up at the crack of dawn, and it's like they're late for them, but it's
Yeah.
it's really fun to just still be able to know that even all that far away, there are people who are still able to save time and do the easy duplication and things that they need, but then still go out and live their life and be the moms and everything that they're going to be, and not have it take forever where you're just spending all your time on your devices, because that's not why we started our business. That's not why we, are stay-at-home moms or doing all the things that we're doing. We're just wanting to fit it in little pockets of time, and that's hopefully what Cinchshare enables our users to do.
Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
we're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode.
Hey friends, I am so excited because Monique and I are sitting down with one of our newest friends, but someone who has been in the direct sales industry for quite a while, or I guess I should say serving the direct sales industry. And so I'm just tickled to death. Monique is here with me. Monique, hey, how are you doing today?
Hey, I am so excited for this conversation.
Me too. I have been literally, I wouldn't say harassing, but I did reach out to one of her employees, and I was like, "Hey, you need to tell Jennifer that I need to talk to her." Like, I was like, "We need to get on Zoom today." And that was a little, like, obviously, like, not realistic, right? So anyway, we are sitting down virtually with Jennifer Johnson. She is the founder of Cinchshare. So we are just so excited. Welcome to the podcast, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Well, I feel like everyone is in for a huge treat today, not only because personally, like, I am really always curious about the story behind a brand specifically that supports the industry that we love so much, direct sales, network marketing, but also just how, in general, this, your company came about, as well as just kind of your story. I would love for people to get to know you, Jennifer, as well as the brand. And so, yeah, let's just kick it off. I would love for you to share a little bit about your story and how this industry has taken on this big role in your life, maybe outside of the industry, but how you've been able to serve and support it.
Awesome. Well, like you said, we've been serving this industry for just over 10 years. So it's a really long time. When I started Cinchshare, I had a private online pottery gallery, and I was trying to get people to my website. And I saw online on Facebook that there was so much education happening in the network marketing industry. And so I jumped in, I joined, and I learned that the more you post, the better you did, the more people saw your content, the more chance and opportunity you had to serve other people. And so I started posting a lot, and I started posting morning, noon, and night. And I had 4 children. My youngest was 1 year at the time, and I didn't have time to be on Facebook all day long. And so I had to kind of pick and choose my chunks of time that I was actively working my business and posting on social. And so that's where the scheduling came about. I was using Post Planner, I was using Buffer, I was using some of the big schedulers out there in our industry, and they were great, but they didn't allow me to really save a whole lot of time with the actions that I was doing. And so I was doing a lot of duplication. I was doing a lot of things that over and over. And so what I was needing was all of my content in a history so I could easily find it and reuse. And I needed something to filter that. And I needed a way to quickly schedule. So what we did was, my husband was kind of a self-taught developer. He sat down with me, he saw what I was doing, and it took me about 2 hours to schedule my content at night. And which is a lot of hours for, a mom and, everything. And so, I was looking for something simple. And so he just sat down with me and we were like, okay, how can we reduce the amount of clicks it takes to schedule a post? And so that's basically what we did. We just stripped it down and we made it really simple. And I built it for myself to use and just for myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Now I'm doing everything in less than 20 minutes. I have all of my time back. I can be a mom. I can do all the things. I can still run my business and everything's great. And then I started sharing with others in the industry and they were like, wait a minute, can I try this too? And we were like, wait, what? Okay, so let's throw up a website. And that's what we did. And ever since then, we've just continued to grow and serve in the network marketing industry because it's so great at sharing, and there comes with teams. There's like a lot of group of people who really need the time savingness of what we are doing because we're doing a lot of actions and we're doing a lot of the same things over and over. So with that repetition, I needed something to simplify that repetition and to make it easy to duplicate things and stuff. So that's kind of where Cinchshare came about. And now we've been serving the industry for 10 years and a lot of things have changed. And now we're actually growing from beyond social media scheduling to now moving into also adding customer relationship marketing to the functionality of Cinchshare. So we're really excited about how we're growing and expanding and able to serve this industry more.
Okay, I am like jaw dropped because everything that you're sharing, I'm like, first of all, I think it's incredible that your husband was like, hey, I think I can help you simplify this, and that together you guys were able to create this. It's funny because, Becky and I have talked about a lot of the things that we've created are because we said to ourselves, okay, we would love to create what we wish we had when we were in industry. And so I think when you approach it from you're solving a problem for yourself, and oftentimes that's the problem that you help other people solve for themselves.
Right.
So I have a question for you. Going back to you said your posting plan was morning, noon, and night. So 3 times a day that you were posting. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think sometimes our audience are people who they see the importance of social media and being consistent on social media, but there's not always the follow through. Can you share a little bit about why that was such an important piece of building your business?
Yeah, it really just comes down to the platforms and what they like and how quickly content just gets seen and then forgotten because there's always new content coming out. And so if you are posting something, the average shelf life of a post on Facebook is about 2 hours, unless you're posting stories, which can last for 24 hours, which is a really long time in a social media post world. So really it takes that consistency of showing up and showing up again and showing up again, because there's always other people who are showing up. So if you're not going to be seen. And it's just goes down to that consistency, which is a word that, people hear of and we all think of and we're like, oh, great. Yeah, it's great to be consistent. But follow through with consistency is another story. And, it's really hard, but, we all get up and we brush our teeth every morning and, we make sure that we follow through with that consistency because it's important, right? So with social, and if you're marketing on social, adhering to how the platforms work is really important. And so, and also just in general, how I found myself just honestly as a mom and as a business owner, and how I was using the platform. I was checking it out in the morning. And then when my babies were napping, I would also check that out again around 1 o'clock, and then in the witching hour in the evenings and, waiting for my husband to come home or something, I was like, okay, I'm going to look around again, and so it's like, what is that time frame that somebody actually just normally wants to engage with people or has time in their schedule. And that was when I had time in the morning. That was like how I had the schedule with my babies and everything. And so I think it's a pretty common. And then again, when they went to bed, that's why, we often time we do our trainings at 9 o'clock at night because that's when I had availability to give my full attention. My kids were asleep. And then also it just works out where for us, we continue to do our trainings at 9 because we also serve people on the West Coast, and so we just, there's all different times. And so, that's also how social media works too. There's always people awake and up. And even if you post in the middle of the night and you can schedule for something for 4 a.m., you will be surprised at how many comments you wake up to in the morning when you're like, oh, wow, I forgot I scheduled that. That's a nice treat.
Yeah, that is so crazy. I mean, I love that you pointed out it depends on what the platform likes, right? And obviously, when you guys launched your business, when you launched Cinchshare, you probably had no clue what you were getting into, right? Like you said, it's kind of funny too, because I'm sure to like people in the tech world, you're like, oh, we just sat down and, he like whipped out this technology, but I think the reality is it has had to probably go through a lot of crazy changes through the years. And so I feel like I'm just kind of curious, what has that looked like from your perspective, right? Like have you had moments of like, oh no, this is it, we're doomed, or moments of, what else is next? I'm just curious, like, how has your company had to adapt throughout all of these changes? As we can see there's this like ever evolving social selling climate.
Right. I mean, that's a really big question. So we started out as Facebook first and Facebook only. So we served the Facebook community first. That was our number one platform. And so we had pages and groups and if actually right after we started, it was back in May of I think 2015. It was just about a year and a half after we started. Facebook was going to shut down groups, like at group access for all third-party apps, like forever ago. And we were like, oh no, like we're not going to be able to like really serve our business because everybody is doing groups. And then what happened is, even though they allowed for groups, a lot of the industry were going and using events on pages. And so a lot of us were over there using events on pages. So we, as functionality came available to us, as Facebook allows more functionality for access for platforms and stuff, we can connect. And so as they would add on places, we've added on places and functionality. And then we've also grown from just Facebook to adding Instagram. And when we added Instagram, we also have Twitter, which is now X, and we have LinkedIn. So we have users who schedule to LinkedIn, and we have Pinterest now. So we added that this past year. So, and then at the beginning of this year, Facebook added Reels and Stories for Facebook pages for us. And so like they're adding on all this functionality for all these places. And so we've continued to add all that functionality from our app to add that for our user base. And so we just kind of shift and mold against what the platforms allow and as they're growing, because they've been growing too. As we've been growing, they've been growing. And when we originally had first access to Instagram, at first they gave only a handful of huge, big named schedulers access, like a beta access for auto scheduling. And we didn't have that capabilities. And then once they saw, okay, we've tested this out, it's all great. Now we've added it to everybody else. Now, then we apply and we get it too. And so we're a little bit later to the delay of the game than some of the big guys, but we get that functionality. And then it's just really helpful for our users. So we continue to change with the platforms and we just move with it. And I would say that in 2018, when Facebook removed Facebook event access, because their events API kind of became vulnerable with things. I'm not quite sure exactly what was going on, but they removed access from events in 2018. And at that time, the majority of our users were using events for their parties and everything. And so they said, we don't want that. And so we're like, okay, well, whatever is allowed. And they said, okay, well, you can do the groups and you can do the pages. And so we said, okay, great. Well, these are the places that we can deliver posts for our users. And so a lot of people continued to post in events for a while, just manually on their own. But a lot of people switched over to doing parties and kind of having pages and groups. And largely a ton of people moved over to groups, as you guys know. And then I would say at that time, I thought, wow, like this could be the end. But it was interesting how just because the platform made a shift and then all the other apps had to do the same thing. So it just became the norm that people didn't do stuff in events anymore. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see, because as you guys know, we just had the same thing happen again with groups, which is, interesting already, because again, people are already, posting more in pages, they're posting more in reels, they're posting more in stories, all these other places that Facebook is adding on as new functionality, as well as promoting. And so it'll just be interesting to see what people do. But I think that there's a lot of people, and there are a lot of different strategies and a lot of different ways to do things. And so that's what we do, is we provide as many abilities as the platform allows. And if they allow it, great, we'll provide that. And if they don't allow it, then there's nothing we can do. But when we don't have functionality for a specific platform or for a specific thing, what we have found in the past is that it eventually just became something that wasn't as much of a forefront anymore. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, Facebook's making even more changes now than they ever did way back then. So we don't have, that's like something that's happened in the past, but we obviously don't have eyes into the future, and we don't exactly know what Facebook's up to. So we just know that they're making changes and continuing to make changes to their platform. And so we just roll with it,
I think that is incredible. It really is. And I feel like that's kind of the foundation of a good business owner, is you kind of have to just adapt and evolve and be willing to change. And I actually remember when all that went down in whatever year it was, and me and my team, we were all so mad about, because I was doing events, and then I had to change, and I just I dug my heels in the ground for so long, and then finally I was like, okay, I can't be doing this nonsense of posting. I'm like, I need this automated, right? I'm like, that's what I would tell somebody, if they're like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed. The first thing I would say is you need to get Cinchshare, or you need Project Broadcast. You need these third-party things. You don't have to hire a virtual assistant yet, right? But I'm leverage these, incredible, softwares out there, because it can take off so much stress, right? Because
For
you
sure.
said, you don't feel like you have to be everywhere all the time. So many people start in this industry so that they can spend more time at home with their kids,
Yes.
or make some extra money on the side, not spend all day on their phone. So I just think it's incredible what you guys have done and been able to do. It's just, it's
Well, thank
amazing.
you.
I'm amazed. I really am.
Well, thank you so much. That's great to hear.
Yeah. And I think that's going back to the automation thing. I feel like that's a big thing that we talk to our clients about. And I would love for you to speak to what is going on right now, because I know Becky and I have been flooded with questions from our clients about third party, apps not having access to groups. We've ourselves had to accommodate with, our Zoom not being able to live stream into groups. So can you speak to what is going on right now?
Sure. Yeah. Facebook on April 22nd just removed group access from all tools. They don't want any tools. Before, you used to have to add an app into a group and be able to use it from there. And they just removed all of that abilities. They are obviously working on some changes with their Facebook groups, and they're not wanting third-party tools to be focusing on that. Could be a handful of reasons. Obviously, Facebook's not come out and said anything, but likely it's probably due to transparency reasons. If you're working a business and you're running a business, Facebook wants you to be transparent about being a business owner, so that when you're talking to people, they know that that's what you are and that's what you're doing. But it's always been good practice to have a business page. And so this change, I think, is something that could be very, very good for people, because while it's always been good practice to have a business page, it may not have been relayed that from leaders who signed up and were told to join a group and create a group, and they just had a group and that's what they did. And that can be great and you can be successful with that, but you are supposed to have a Facebook business page if you are running a business on Facebook. And so there's just a lot of really cool things that you can have with a business page too. So I think that this is just one of those changes that Facebook is saying, hey, if you're a business, head on over to pages. You can have reviews. There's all these things that you can do. And it's very transparent and it's public facing. So there's a lot of really cool benefits too for having your content over there. So But as far as tools being able to post into groups, right now, no tool can do that. Facebook is the only way to auto post. So if you want your posts to be automatically posted to your Facebook groups like they were before when you used any tool, you can do that with Facebook. You just go onto Facebook Scheduler and you use their scheduler. That's the only way to do it now. Which is one of the reasons why we have added some new functionality and features with Cinchshare to allow for our users to further the ability of how they can use their content that they have saved and stored and organized in all of their folders. So previously you could just schedule and schedule to all the different platforms. You could download, but then obviously that's on your device and takes up space and all those things. And so what we have added is on our mobile app, we have a share button, and you can just share everything right over to your groups. And then we have the copy to clipboard button, which will just allow you to just copy it, and it doesn't save it to your device. It just copies it to the clipboard and you can do pasting. So I think that with this change, a lot of people have started doing more real-time posting, but still having their content organized and saved in a place that's at their fingertips they can easily grab, so it still saves them time, but then they can just like grab it and go pop it over into their group. And if they want to schedule it at that time, they can do that. So it's a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a change, but it is one that every single Facebook group owner is going through. So if we're kind of all in this together. And the same thing goes with all the third-party tools and stuff. When Facebook said no access, the fact that they said no access for everybody is fantastic, because that just means that it's like an even playing field, and so that just means also, that Facebook is allowing us to post to pages and to reels and to stories and all these public places, just like we can with LinkedIn and all the other places are all public as well. So it's really not that far of a difference. It just happens to be where a lot of our users and a lot of our industry, even if they're not using Cinchshare, a lot of people in this industry have been largely heavily focused on groups. So I think that this change is just going to be, at first, change is tough. And I think it feels, it just feels like it's rocking the boat. But I honestly think this is going to be a fantastic change for our entire industry and really going to lift everybody up. So we just have to just wait for the little bit of dust to settle, and people, I think, will realize that. And there's already people realizing that. And so I think that's really good to see.
Yeah. Well, and I think for those of us, right, that had been in the industry through a lot of different changes, it's not a matter of, our success. I guess I should say our success is not dependent on the platform or our upline or a third party app, right? It's ultimately like you get to decide. And I think too, when, like I've mentioned before, when we were all like, oh, we can't do events. I mean, I just was thinking like, all right, well then what can I do? Right. Instead of like, well, I guess this is it, but, and so it's the same thing with your company. I think it's incredible that Cinchshare is like, okay, well, the majority of the industry was doing this, but now because of, right, this new parameter that's been set for everyone, it's like, how can we still support the industry? And so I would love to hear too, just because obviously you get to see the behind the scenes. I would love to hear a little bit about how your users that are really like maybe the most engaged with your platform, like how are they using Cinchshare?
Oh gosh, it's really interesting because there are a lot of people who just sign up and they use the software and they just go on their way and they do all sorts of stuff. So we only know the people who are really looking at who speak with us, right? And engage with us and talk back with us. And that happens to largely be people who are doing Facebook parties or just managing their group. And I'm sorry, I forget where I was going with that.
No, it's okay. I'm just curious how like users, like what are the different ways that people are using Cinchshare, I guess I should say.
Oh, well, I guess obviously people are using us to schedule. They are using us to save all of their content, organize all their content. And now with the added functionality and features that we've added in the last month, they are now able to use that content anywhere, even if in Messenger or text or emails, and you can easily grab that content and share it. And so we have a content library in Cinchshare. So that comes with a lot of just like pre-made engagement content. For a lot of people, sometimes a lot of users, especially when they're brand new, they are stuck on what to post. And so we provide them with just a lot of just stuff at their fingertips so they can just start quickly putting something out there because it doesn't have to be amazing. You just have to start, you know? And then once people get in the habit of starting, then they're like, oh, okay, well, I could have done something different at that time. Like now I know, you know, and then it takes them a little bit of a learning curve. But a lot of times if people don't start, they don't ever get to that point where they get that learning curve. And so we created a content library in Cinchshare. So we have a lot of people who come in and just search for content, and they're looking for National Day content. They're looking for theme content, things like that. It's simple questions that their audience can answer in any industry. It doesn't matter if you sell, you know, cooking ware or if you sell nails, you know, you can have everybody eats, everybody, you know, there's all these different things where you can ask people questions because we're all just human. So there's just basic stuff in their conversation starters. And so people come in and use that, and then they can schedule to Facebook, largely Instagram. Pinterest and LinkedIn have largely ticked up, I would say, in the last 6 months. There's been a lot of activity on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys have been doing any research or hearing about LinkedIn, but there's quite a bit of activity over on LinkedIn where people are treating it more like Facebook, a page where it's more conversational and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. We've been hanging out
Yeah.
over there a little bit.
I feel like I've heard that, but I haven't tapped into it myself. But I have noticed that like other podcasters bringing it up, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then beyond scheduling, now our users can use use the app for like their customer conversations. So they can do reach outs, and they can do follow ups, and they can help coach their hosts, you know, for what they should be doing or things they've been doing. And they can even connect with teammates and stuff like that. And then obviously with Cinchshare, you could already share content. And so anything that you have saved and organized in Cinchshare, you can share with the team and have people join. And so if you have somebody new that joins, if you're a leader, you can easily, you know, say, hey, here's content that's worked great for me. Look through it, pick out what you want, you know, and they can kind of pick and do that really easily. So
That's awesome.
we're just excited about this, you know, beyond scheduling, how users are be able to, you know, really use the content that they have in real time. And they can also schedule even like mobile reminders to your mobile phone. And you can send yourself a reminder to say, hey, I want to send this message to somebody in Messenger. And you can do that. You can send a reminder so that you can schedule threads through a post notification reminder. I did that this morning. If you guys check out our threads, and that's the only way. Like right now, we've been doing that, and then we have people right now who are actually using it for scheduling their post notifications for Snapchat and for TikTok, and so to other places where we don't have auto posting, they're able to schedule a reminder right to their phone where their post is all buttoned up for them. So all they do is click the button and then it just sends it. So it's pretty cool. We're having really good feedback with that.
That's awesome. I'm even thinking it like for onboarding or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh my word, there's so many uses and so many ways you can be creative with the app. Like, I'm just like, that is so cool that you guys have all of that. And all just right because you had a need for your own business and now it's blessing who knows how many people. I'm sure I'm like, it's amazing to me what you've built. It really is.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a lot. We have users in 156 countries right now. And
Wow.
we
That's
are
amazing.
we are pretty big in the United States, and Australia and Canada are our top three. And so it's really neat to like we work with a lot of teams in Australia, and so it's pretty cool where we do trainings and we're up at the crack of dawn, and it's like they're late for them, but you know,
Yeah.
it's really fun to just still be able to, you know, that even all that far away, you know, there are people who are still able to save time and do the easy duplication and things that they need, but then still go out and live their life and be the moms and everything that they're going to be, and not have it take forever where you're just spending all your time on your devices, because that's not why we started our business. That's not why we, you know, our stay-at-home moms are doing all the things that we're doing. You know, we're just wanting to fit it in little pockets of time. And that's hopefully what Cinchshare enables our users to do.
Yeah, I love that. So I think something great I would love for you to share is in your 10 years of being in Cinchshare, there had to have been, you know, so many ups and downs as we've already talked about all the different changes. So for the person who is building their network marketing business and maybe they are getting frustrated every single time there's a new change or something is taken away, or now, you know, they mastered this one thing and now they've got to learn something new, that can be very frustrating for somebody who is trying to build their business. What was it that kept you going?
Oh gosh. I guess it's just honestly the freedom that this business provides, and provided me with my family, the ability to work my business in the pockets of time that I had, whether, and it just fit in with my schedule, whether our kids went to a late start school. So it was like, we got to sleep in a little bit. They went a little bit later. So our schedules were just off, and just, having the ability to live your life at your own schedule is something that is a blessing to me and to anybody else who gets to use our software to save time and manage their business. And if that's something that we can have, the more people that get to experience that, the better. And so really it's um, come down to that, I mean, there's always ups and downs. We've never had anything that was, I mean, I would say that obviously all these platform changes were just really obviously life-changing for us and all the abilities of what we're allowed to add. But every day there's new things too. And so I can't discount those things just because there's a big group of users that don't understand the benefits of those things either yet, So I think they will, but I think that just being able to have the freedom is something that I've cherished. And I think that, anybody else who gets to do this industry gets to cherish and experience that too. So if once you get to, I know it's frustrating, but once you make some sales and have a little bit of success from some of the things that you're doing, you're like, wow, okay, that actually was really awesome. By having a couple of conversations on Facebook or Messenger, like by posting a couple times, I was actually to make some money and now send my daughter to dance class. I mean, those are amazing things. And if everybody gets to feel that, then that's great, right?
So true. I mean, and I think that's what's so beautiful about this industry anyway, right? Is it's this community of helping other people have success. It's that Zig Ziglar quote that we all know and love. If you help enough other people have success, you will have success. And I think it's so beautiful how you were in an industry that is all about helping other people have success, right? And now you have been able to create something for that industry that is changing the lives of so many people. Because I know for myself, the minute I learned how to automate stuff, it was like a light bulb went off, right? And things just took off because I was able to focus my time and energy on, yes, my family and be more present there, but also, right, like instead of me creating a social media post or scheduling to a Facebook group or whatever, doing virtual parties, I was able to do onboarding or talk to a leader, an aspiring leader. And so I think there's just so much power in having access to something like that. And I think it's really cool too. I was noticing recently on, I think it was Instagram. I don't know. I was like checking out some of y'all's content and how you guys are creating those engaging posts that you mentioned. I was like, this is so great because you're exactly right. I think even for leaders who are like, I don't have time to play on Canva, like, or it's
Yeah.
like, you probably shouldn't, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm so busy, like doing work, but it's like, well, you were on Canva for like 3 hours. Like, you're not really, and so I think it's so cool that you guys are expanding upon what you started with, and create and adding different layers of, Cinchshare, like in that how it can support the direct seller. So cool. So cool. So I guess one last question, and I'll ask Monique if she has any others as well, but that I would just love to hear a little bit about. Is there something that you like in your dreams, you're like, oh, I would love it if Cinchshare could do blank? Like, is there something that you're like, man, I would love to figure this out if we could provide this for direct sellers? Like, what is your dream like feature that you're like, man, I wish I could create this? Or you're probably like, Becky, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
No, I mean, I think right now we've got a lot of people who are asking us if we are going to create a keyboard, which we are. So we're going to have that functionality soon this summer. Like I said, we're a small team, but we're mighty. And so we're working pretty hard. So that's something exciting. I think we'll just allow people, it doesn't matter how you go about your user flow or workflow of getting your content. So it just provides for more ways for people to access their content however they like best. But for me, I think that in the future, like future, if we could figure out how to make it happen, would be to figure out how to expand on our content library, make it a library where there there's community adding to it, and that we can have creators who create content actually make money off of our platform with the library and expand it to more of a marketplace with that piece. So
That is so cool.
hopefully we can get to that. My point is it's interesting how things take a lot longer than you think that they're going to, but but life happens and we just enjoy it while we're going along and keep doing the best we can. So we've got some great stuff coming up, and so we're excited.
That's awesome. And that would be the dream. Like, I'm over here like, oh my word, that would be so cool, right? Because people are always creating something, and then, whether it's like in another company or on their team or even inside of the company, they're like, oh, I wish I could make something like that myself or have access to it. Or even just people are so creative in this industry,
Yes.
and usually willing to share, right? But it's just, anyway, so that would be cool. That's crazy.
Right.
But you're right. It's like success takes time. and
Yes.
even too, I'm sure you never imagined you guys would be where you are today, and have accomplished everything that you've been able to do with Cinchshare. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy the amount of people we've met and seen, and how we've hosted conferences and retreats, and now like then we had COVID, and now people are like, okay, you guys gonna do retreats again? And well, maybe. So it's just like there's just really so much that goes on in this industry and so many different ways to connect with people, and it's been a fun, wild ride. We're thankful to get to play the game, and we love figuring out ways to help people. So if anybody ever has suggestions, like we're always all ears. Like if you've got like, oh, I wish I could do this, I'm always like, tell me, please, let's figure it out, because if it can be helpful for you, it could be helpful for a lot of people, so it's all very cool.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer, can you share with people where they can find you? If someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, this sounds amazing, they would love to connect with you personally on social media, or they would love to find out how they can get started with Cinchshare. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, you can follow Cinchshare on any social platform. We're big on Facebook and Instagram, and then myself, we're also posting on LinkedIn for Cinchshare, and you can find me over on LinkedIn as well if anybody wants to connect. So.
Awesome. And we will include a link, which I don't know. I was like, actually, this is like super informal. I'm over here like, well, we were going to have a referral link set up before I actually messaged someone about that. And then I was like, well, I didn't do that, but we will have one for you guys. If anyone is interested in trying it out, we'll make sure there's some information in the show notes so you can check out Cinchshare and try it out. See if it's something that could benefit you and your business and save you lots of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.